It all began during a church program where Tony and Judith met. Seated close to each other, they started a conversation that lasted throughout the service. When the program concluded, Tony boldly asked for Judith's contact information. Their relationship started quickly, with Tony proposing to Judith just a month later and her happily accepting. Their union was soon blessed with 2 children, a son and a daughter, while Judith found herself expecting another child. Despite the beautiful start, Judith's life took a turn for the worse. The marriage that was meant to bring her happiness became a hell. Tony proved to be an irresponsible father, a shameless womanizer, and a heartless wife-beater. Despite his successful business, Tony showed no interest in providing for his family. Judith, with her small business, bore the burden of covering the household expenses. She paid bills, school fees, and put food on the table, all while Tony squandered his money on his many side chicks. In the beer parlor, Tony's kindness knew no bounds as he freely sponsored the drinks of everyone around him, proudly declaring, "I'll foot the bill for everyone." Even when Judith told her family about Tony's abusive behavior, they brushed it off with the common saying, "Everyone has their struggles in their family. If you leave, someone else will take your place." They asked her to be patient with Tony, assuring her that he would change if she prayed hard enough. But despite their well-meaning advice, Judith's marriage only seemed to get worse each day as Tony's behavior became more intolerable each passing day. Amanda, their 15-year-old daughter, could feel the weight of her mother's pain in her eyes. She and her younger brother, Emma, would witness their father subject their pregnant mother to brutal beatings using various weapons. He would flog her with cane, most times cutlass, and even delivering punches on her face, and Judith will be forced to tie a scarf around her face so nobody would notice the bruises on it. He would throw insults at her at every opportunity, and even go as far as to pour the food she prepared for him on her body. Amanda's childhood was spoiled by sorrow, as she and Emma had no choice but to witness their parents' constant fights. Unlike other children who lived in homes filled with peace and love, whenever they were sent back from school due to unpaid fees, Amanda would tightly hold her brother's hand and return home. She would bravely approach her father to request their school fees, only to be met with harsh words and sometimes beatings. "Go ask your mother for the money. She thinks she can provide for everything. Don't disturb my peace," he would scold them. The hurtful words from their own father would bring tears to Amanda and Emma's eyes. Witnessing the pain of her children, Judith would muster the courage to borrow money from her business contacts just to ensure her children's education continued. One particular Saturday afternoon, Judith, who was heavily pregnant and usually returned home from her shop in the evening, felt unusually tired and decided to head back early to rest. As she made her way back from the market, her children joyfully welcomed her, running towards her and hugging her, with Amanda sweetly offering to hold her bag as they made their way home. Upon reaching their house, Judith was surprised to find it locked. Questioning Amanda as to why the door was locked, she was shocked to learn that her husband was inside with another woman. Her husband had sent the children out and locked the door behind him. Angry and curious, Judith used her spare key to unlock the door, revealing the heartbreaking sight of her husband sleeping with another woman in their matrimonial home. Filled with anger, Judith immediately went to the bed and forcefully pulled the mistress out, sending her away without hesitation. Tony, her husband, shamelessly got up from the bed, quickly dressing himself, trying to chase after the woman who had just left. "Why are you doing this to me? Have I done something wrong by accepting your marriage proposal?" Am I lacking as a woman in any way? Why have you chosen to treat me like this?" Judith confronted Tony, grabbing him by the shirt with tears running down from her eyes. Extremely angry and without a feeling of remorse for what he did, Tony delivered a hot slap to Judith, pushed her, causing her to fall to the floor and hit her head on a nearby wall. Tragically, the result proved deadly, leading to Judith's untimely death. Amanda and Emma, who witnessed the painful incident occur before their eyes, hurried to where their mother lay, calling out to her in sorrow. Their voices rang in the room, but there was no response. Reality hit them hard as they realized that their beloved mother had passed away. Unable to contain their pain, Amanda threw herself to the floor, rolling in agony. The weight of the loss was too much to bear for both of them. Tony, filled with guilt for his actions, gathered Amanda and Emma and sat them down, forcing them into silence with threats of harm if they ever dared to speak of what had happened between their mother and him. "Just know that you both are going to die if you ever say this to anyone," he said. It was a harsh and manipulative move that left the children weak with fear. To cover up his evil actions, Tony called Judith's family, putting on a performance of fake tears as he lied about the circumstances of her death. He deceitfully lied that Judith slipped and fell down, painting himself as a mourning husband. Judith's family, unaware of the truth, rushed to Tony's house, offering comfort and help as they assisted in taking her body to the mortuary. Despite knowing deep down that their father was lying, Amanda and Emma found themselves trapped in a cage of fear and intimidation. Tony's threats had silenced them, forcing them to carry the burden of his dark secret, a heavy weight on their young shoulders. It wasn't long before they finalized Judith's burial date, a sad occasion that brought tears and heartbreak to all those in attendance. Amanda and Emma, particularly, were inconsolable as they mourned the loss of their beloved mother. Emma's cries were especially heartbreaking as he begged for his mother to wake up, refusing to accept the reality of her death. "Mommy, please wake up. It's me, Emma, your little boy, your handsome son. Please wake up. I cannot live without you." Emma cried uncontrollably, his pain noticeable in every word. His aunt came to his side, gently lifting him up and offering comfort as he wept. Meanwhile, Tony sat calmly on the other side of the canopy, engaged in conversation with the very lady Judith had chased out of their home. The air was heavy with sorrow as the family filled with pain and the realization that Judith is no longer with them. Following Judith's funeral, her family reached out to Tony, expressing their desire to take his children along with them. They believed it would be beneficial for the kids, considering they were still mourning the loss of their mother. Tony fought with the guilt of causing Judith's death and feared the children uncovering the truth if that should happen. He completely refused, explaining that he cannot live without his children, and if they get separated from him, he might go into depression. At Tony's house, he called the two children and sat them down. "Your mother is gone, and if either of you wants to go to her, I can help you with that. You saw how I killed your mother, didn't you? If you don't want the same thing to happen to any one of you, then keep your mouth shut and don't say a word about how she died," Tony said to the frightened children. After his evil declaration, Tony left, abandoning them in the house with no food or means to purchase any. In the late hours of the night, Tony came back home in a drunken state, pounding on the door with a force that startled Amanda into quickly opening it. "Why did you take so long to answer, huh? You've grown wings now?" Tony shouted, twisting her ear harshly as Amanda screamed in pain. Dragging her to the bed, Tony forced himself on her as she cried out in a heartbreaking plea for help. Despite her cries ringing through the empty house, no savior appeared. Little Emma watched in pain, his heart breaking as he witnessed the unspeakable rape unfolding before his eyes. Amanda's teary face turned towards Emma, her voice shaking as she pleaded, "Help me, Emma. Please, help me. Save me from Daddy." But in that moment, Emma was powerless, unable to stop the monstrous actions of the man who was meant to protect them. After satisfying himself, he pushed her out of the bed. Amanda, tired as she ran away, sought comfort in hugging her brother, Emma, who was in tears. The following day, Tony summoned Amanda and warned her not to disclose the rape to anyone. He went as far as threatening her life if she dared to speak out. The fear instilled by his threats left Amanda trembling, heartbroken that her own father had defiled her and taken her virginity. As time passed, Amanda fell ill, and Tony suspected it was a result of his evil actions. He reluctantly took her to the hospital, where the doctor discovered she was pregnant. Tony adamantly refused to let the doctor speak privately with Amanda, beating Amanda and dragging her out of the hospital. He even went as far as accusing others of being responsible for her condition, trying to hide his crime. Returning home, Amanda cried silently as she washed her brother's clothes, realizing that the man she calls a father was nothing but a monster. Tony had spread rumors within Judith's family, falsely claiming that Amanda's pregnancy was the result of her sleeping with different men. The family members began to gossip, blaming Judith for being too easy on Amanda and had caused her immoral behavior. Amanda needed someone to hear the truth, someone that wouldn't judge her by mere rumors, but nobody fit in, as they have all turned against them since their mother's death, including all those ones that claimed to be Judith's friends when she was alive. It hasn't even been up to 6 months since Judith's death when Tony brought in another woman whom he introduced as his second wife. The 2 children were shocked to see that it was the same lady who had been in their home on the day they lost their mother. She was the same woman who had been sleeping with their father. Rose, the woman claiming to be the new wife, approached them, saying, "I'm your new mother, and be prepared for punishments if you dare to disobey me in this house." She then gave Emma a knock on his head for frowning while she was speaking. "And this foolish girl who got pregnant by some random old man, you better be prepared to take care of that thing growing inside you," Rose coldly said to Amanda, who stared at her father. Tony had lied to Rose that Amanda's pregnancy was the result of her sleeping with all the old men in the street, as he was trying to hide the fact that he was the real father of her daughter's unborn child. With guilt written all over him as Amanda looked at him, Tony held Rose by the hand. "Forget about those useless kids. Let's go enjoy ourselves inside." Amanda and Emma, now left standing outside, were filled with pain as they watched their father leading his new wife, Rose, inside of their house. The tears streaming down Amanda's face remembered the pain and betrayal she felt in the night her father raped her.